The holidays are here, which means we have all of these amazing holiday plants in right now, and I wanted to give you a few tips and tricks on how to take care of them. Poinsettias come in all different colors, right? These beautiful red are very traditional, but let me tell you, this tapestry poinsettia, which we have at the store right now in 4-inch pots for only $5. Oh, I've already taken one home and I might need to take another home. But it's always so hard to take care of them. And there's a couple of tips. They come in these nice pot covers. First tip, remove that pot cover. When you're looking to figure out if you should be watering your poinsettia, there's a couple things to remember. One, don't ever let it completely dry out. If it gets too dry, a lot of times what happens is the leaves will start to fall off. If these fall off, you want to remove them. And you can even see some on the inside in here that have started to dry up. We're going to remove all of those because as they sit inside, they can start to get moldy, which will only start to deteriorate the rest of the foliage. So we clean it up every time I pull the pot cover off. You don't want it to let it dry out. So the question oftentimes is, how do you tell, right? How tell when it's too dry? And I can usually tell by picking it up. If the plant itself is pretty heavy, that's a good indication that there's plenty of water in there. If the plant itself is pretty light, that's a time that you need to get in the water. You can always check the top of the soil and feel how damp it is. Another kind of trick is to take like a wooden toothpick or a wooden dowel. If you put it into the pot and you pull it out and the dirt sticks to it, it's wet. If you put it into the pot and it comes out completely dry, then it's too dry. So you want to always make sure whenever you're testing your poinsettia that it stays a little bit moist. When they get too dry, it's when they start to lose their leaves. But if they lose their leaves, don't worry, clean it up, and then we're going to give it a water. When you are watering your poinsettia, you want to use lukewarm water. These plants are tropical. They do not like to have their water too cold. So just a room temperature water, and I want to keep watering it until the water starts pouring out the bottom of it. So you can see here the water is pouring out the bottom. That is a good sign. Now I'm going to keep the pot cover off and I'm going to let this keep that water draining. And I'll let it sit here for 15-20 minutes until it dries completely out and the water starts pulling out. Once all that water has drained out the bottom, we can put that pot cover back on and we'll take it and find the perfect spot for it. When poinsettias are in their full glory, they do not have to be right next to the window. In fact, you can put them in a pretty dark room, but there's a couple things to remember. One, your furnace vent. If you have a furnace vent in your floor, whether it's in your floor or up on the side of the wall blowing in hot air onto your poinsettia, it does not like that. Keep it in an area away from the furnace vent. It does not have to be right next to the window. And it'll be beautiful just like this through the holidays. Once you're all done with the holidays, everything is over and you are a diehard plant lover. I want to keep this poinsettia alive. Here's some tricks to keep it going. These red leaves or brackets on the top are not actually its flower. The flower is nestled down deep inside there. And once the holidays are over, we actually want to remove the flower. We'll take it down to where the leaves are green. We'll give it a nice little pinch, clean it all up. We're then going to put it in a nice, bright, warm, sunny location. And that's going to hold on to the plant throughout the winter. During the summertime, I would bring it outside, keep it nice and warm and happy, wait until temperatures really don't want to get into the low 40s at night. 50s are okay, but you don't want it to get too cold. Let it go all summer. And then the trick is it really, in order to start blooming, needs to have a change in light. So during the summertime, we have lots of light all summer long. Gets out, gets full sun. As winter comes, you want to get it nice and dark, bring it back inside, put it into a darker location. And as the winter goes, by the holidays, you'll be ready for another round of poinsettias. These big, beautiful amaryllis blossoms. I love red, but I am a sucker for white. Gorgeous plant. But what do you do with it after it stops blooming? You can see this one already has a bud up, and this one has already stopped blooming on this side. We're going to go ahead and remove just the blossom. And here's the deal. You want to be careful because down here in the bottom, these are the leaves that we want to save and keep. So we're very carefully going to remove the blossom from the stem there. Throw this in the trash. And we're going to keep holding and enjoy this blossom a little bit longer. But when she's all done, we'll remove this one too. These leaves in the base here are going to start to come out. And just like our poinsettia, we're going to want to put those leaves in a nice, really highlight, nourishing area because those leaves are going to be feeding our bulb. During the summertime, pull them outside. Enjoy the sunshine. It's going to keep feeding that bulb. And here's the trick. Once fall comes, take it into a dark place in your garage. Do not water it. Let it go completely dry out. It needs to go dormant. Then, after about probably 4 to 6 weeks of going dormant, bring it back inside. Give it a little bit of light and warmth. Maybe a little bit of water back in here. Before you know it, you're going to have a blossom, new Amaryllis, ready to go for the holidays. Growing citrus can be one of the most rewarding and fun things to do in your home during the wintertime, but also one of the most frustrating. Here's a couple of tips because growing citrus can be super difficult indoors. First, citrus do not like to change location. Anytime they're going from inside to outside or outside back inside during the wintertime, they can get very grumpy. The easier you make that transition by not going from too cold to too warm or too wet from too dry in terms of the air, all the better. So I tell a lot of people when they pull it out during the summer times and you bring it back in during the fall, don't wait too long because if it gets acclimated to the cold outside, then you bring it inside and it's staying around 70 degrees. Not happy, it's gonna drop a lot of leaves. If it does that, clean it all up, cut down on the water, make sure it stays damp but not too wet, and give her some time because she's not gonna be happy for a little bit. Another tip to remember, these blossoms coming out on here are some of the most fragrant flowers you will ever smell. It will fill your entire home with this wonderful citrus aroma. But if your citrus stays inside year round, you need to have some sort of pollinator pollinate it. In this case, sign me up for that job because inside, you're gonna wanna take a Q-tip and move it from flower to flower in order to get them pollinated. If you take yours out during the summertime and on your deck or patio, they should be just fine. But if you're keeping it inside, remember, nature's gonna need a little bit of help. Getting the right citrus is also very important. My #1 citrus plant that I recommend for the Northwest is Meyer lemons. They are by far the most cold hardy out of all of the citrus. Besides their fruit tasting amazing, they hold up really well. They seem to handle the going outside and inside. And if you're keeping yours outside during the cooler nights that we get in the spring or the fall, this plant is gonna hold up better than any of the rest. And my second favorite is a Persian lime. And the funny thing is, Persian limes, when they're ripe, are actually yellow just like a Meyer lemon. They're a little bit sweeter. They seem to hold up really well in that transition from going inside to outside and outside to inside. And they seem to do pretty well in the Northwest. This is my final secret weapon with citrus in the Northwest, Citrus Tone by Espoma. An awesome product to give your plant the nutrients that it needs. And there are 3 times when you want to apply this to your citrus. January and February, which is coming right up. You want to apply it to the top of the soil, water it in. That's going to be able to set on lots of blooms right after that. And then in May and June, you'll want to fertilize it after those blooms have already come off now. It's setting on its fruit and going into the summertime. And finally, one last application in September or October heading into the winter. So 3 times a year, apply Citrus Tone, follow all those other tips and tricks, and you're sure to have an amazing citrus at your house.